started. It's already started. So be careful what you say, right?
Certain topics that I thought we wouldn't agree on. So I know it's cool.
Okay.
Cool. Hello, welcome to Ringside Fracas. My name is Lewis, and I'm joined by three of our regulars. We got Jide, Saps, and Dapo. How are you doing, gentlemen?
All blessed, all blessed. Happy to be here.
Yeah, really good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm brilliant.
I wasn't going to ask this time.
Yeah. Never do. And we've got a very special guest with us today. We've got Boxing Talk with Ade. How are you doing, Ade?
I love that, a very special guest. I feel good now hearing that. I love it.
I'm sure you get it all the time.
Tune in next week.
Obviously, you're joining us with your world famous green chair. That's the only reason we really invited you on. To be honest. We just wanted to see the chair in person. Yeah.
No,
now that we've seen it, you can go now.
Done, yeah, done.
Just leave the mic on the chair and then you
just talk from over there.
Yeah. Obviously, you can go if you don't subscribe to Boxing Talk with Ade on YouTube, please go and do that right this instance. And if you're listening on the podcast, do that while listening as well. If you obviously if you don't follow us on Twitter, we're at Ringside Fracas on Twitter. We're on Apple, Spotify. So no excuse for you to not leave us a review. Really, 5-star review only. So make sure you do that. And use the hashtag Ringside Fracas on Twitter as well. Guys, let's get cracking because there's a lot to talk about, right? There's a lot to talk about. We did the live stream on Saturday for, most of the fights. It was most of the fights, right? We did like good 4 or 5 of them. And it was a really enjoyable evening on Discord. We went live to YouTube as well. Really, really enjoyable. So thank you to everyone that did tune in. Look, there's only one place to start. Ade, I'm going to go with you. I know you probably spoke all week about this fight, but just how did you feel after, Whyte's masterclass? I'm going to call it a masterclass personally, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. But Ade, let me get your thoughts on the Dillian Whyte victory.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, you got to understand going into the fight, this is a guy where his promoter was saying, look, everything's on the line, right? He loses and he goes way back. And you know what it's like as well. If you're a pay-per-view fighter and you lose back-to-back fights that you're not supposed to lose, that no one thinks you're going to lose, you can't come back as a pay-per-view fighter. You've got to come back as a regular Saturday night fighter. That means your check is cut in half. So there's a lot of pressure on Dillian Whyte going into that fight mentally. He spoke after about him not seeing his newborn kid as well for a few months. So there's a lot riding on that fight. I mean, everyone has spoken about Dillian Whyte and that WBC shot, but he wants to be in the mix with AJ and Fury and potentially a Wilder and Ruiz fight. He loses that fight or he doesn't look good. I mean, look, there's so many fights you can make in the heavyweight division, but money talks in the top 4 or 5 fights. He loses it. He loses a lot. So I think it was a good performance. It really was. Look, I feel like I know where Dillian Whyte is in these terms of his limitations. A lot of people have sort of spoken and said he still looked a bit off balance and he does this and he does that. Dillian Whyte's not going to be a clean, pure boxer like a Lewis Ortiz. That's not Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte's a guy that's going to go in there, rough, rugged, get the job done. And I thought he looked good. I mean, at the same time, I have to be honest with you, I thought Povetkin looked really bad. Like, really bad. I mean, Povetkin's legs looked like they were gone from the first 20 seconds. I mean, this guy still looks like he had COVID walking into the ring.
What did we say when he was walking in?
Honestly, this looked like a guy that had COVID, but you know what? The check was too good. I can't turn down the fight again. And walked in. But look, huge respect to Dillian. It's a big win. It puts him right back in the mix, and that's all he can do.
What was your initial thoughts like going into the fight? Like, did you have any predictions going into the fight? Did you think Dillian was going to win?
Yeah, I said on my stream that I thought Dillian would win by round 5. I said I think Dillian was going to win, but I was concerned. If a guy gets knocked out the way Dillian Whyte got knocked out, you have to be concerned for that guy. Like, I've always said that I felt Dillian Whyte's punch resistance is starting to wane a little bit. I mean, I've looked at a lot of Dillian Whyte's fights in the last couple of years, and Dillian Whyte takes a lot of punishment, Oscar Rivas, punishment. Derek Chisora, punishment. Joseph Parker. I mean, you can go back. Hellenius took some shots as well. So Dillian Whyte takes shots, and you can't be taking shots from the big boys like that. So I was a bit nervous that if Dillian Whyte gets touched, there could be a problem. But look, we didn't really even see him get touched because the performance was so good. One thing Dillian Whyte has, which is very deceptive, is really long hands and levers. Like, for a guy of his stature, he's got a massive reach, and I think he done well to keep Povetkin out of that reach and just land a couple of big stingy rights. Very wild, though, Dillian Whyte is. Like, he sometimes swings a bit like Deontay Wilder, but when he fits on his shots, very, very solid.
No, 100%. Jide, Samson, Dapo, you were in the live stream with me. Yeah, Life of Bodges is correct. We were shitting it a bit. We were shitting it a bit, especially when those windmills were coming in, and we were like, "Oh fucking hell, Dillian, don't get knocked out."
I had faith in my guy. Unfortunately, I said he was gonna get the win between round 7 and 9, and he got it a lot earlier. I don't know why I went that late, but I knew Dillian was gonna win. Like again, from the first fight, Dillian was dominating. Dillian dropped him twice. Dillian was on the way to win that fight comfortably till he got caught. So for me, it was just like all he had to do was what he was doing before. But then this time, Povetkin's got COVID. He's delayed the fight twice. He's another year older. And when you're like 41, 42, an extra year is going to age you more than when you're like 30, 31. So he's 42 years old. He's had COVID and he got battered the first fight. I was like, this is a Dillian pick for me. It was a no-brainer. What I will say though is, because I've been saying this in the group chat as well, I feel like Dillian's good at taking side shots. If you hit Dillian in the side of the head, he can take that. He's good. But AJ destroyed his chin. Is for uppercuts. AJ after that knockout, he seems so susceptible. Like when he gets hit with uppercuts, he always wobbles. And I'm always scared for Dillian, because especially when Dillian's trading, he's always, the way he blocks his shots is always so susceptible to those uppercuts. And I was like, this could happen again, essentially. But I was confident. I feel like Dillian was going to win that. I wish I done an earlier pick, so I'll be clear in the group chat in terms of the league table, because I'm winning it right now, obviously, because my
every moment, you know,
he was waiting to bring that up.
Predictions always come right. I'm just saying, that's why I'm winning. I'm just saying. Sorry, guys.
You're like 2 points clear.
No, I'm like 6 points clear of you, Lewis.
Not of me. You certainly aren't 6 points clear of me.
Whatever. I'm top of the group. I'm top of the.
I think we might have to invite Ade into our group chat so you can join the prediction.
You know what? Yeah, I can't lie to you. I'd rather not. My predictions are awful. Like, I don't know what is going on. Like, every time I predict something, the opposite happens. I'm happy that I got Dillian Whyte by a round, because my predictions are awful. Funny thing you said there though, Ginny, about sort of Dillian Whyte dominating in the first fight. I didn't see that, against Povetkin the first time round. If I'm honest with you, I thought Povetkin was doing some good work for Dillian Whyte, especially to the body. And look, I've never seen Dillian Whyte, as much as we say Dillian Whyte was going to go away comfortable, apart from maybe the Lucas Brown performance, and Lucas Brown's awful. I feel like Dillian Whyte struggles all the time. Like I've always said, like for me, like AJ and Fury, yeah. And I've said that Dillian Whyte is closer to the guys sort of 4 to 10 than he is to AJ and Fury number 1 or 2. Like Dillian Whyte could fight Hrgovic tomorrow. That's a close fight for me. Dillian Whyte could fight Ruiz. These are all. I'll be scared of him for all these fights. Like I feel like Dillian Whyte is so within that kind of bracket, and I put Povetkin in that bracket as well. So for me, yes, he was winning the fight, but I never thought like, oh, this is easy work. I never thought that. I feel like if Dillian Whyte doesn't get rid of Povetkin, we know Povetkin will stay there unless you really dent him like AJ did. So I didn't have it that comfortable, but I know what you mean. I thought he was winning it, but I didn't think he was winning that comfortable.
You know what it is for me? I feel like Dillian Whyte was winning the fight, and even if you go back to the first fight, he was in control of the fight. But at the same time, because we know what Dillian Whyte brings, the second he gets tagged or is hurt, he tries to fire back and he gets a bit reckless. Or at times, even when he is comfortable, he switches off and starts a bit lazy. And when he does that, because of that, he becomes defensively irresponsible and then gets hit with like he did the first time. So in the second fight now, I feel like, luck to a degree, Povetkin's inability to present the same fight that we saw a couple months ago helped, because Dillian Whyte at times was extremely reckless with some of the through where, and luckily for him, nobody in the boxing they say, you miss a shot, you have to pay. Yeah. There was many shots he didn't have to pay, where he threw a wild left hook, well out of balance, well out of reach, and nothing came back. And like Dapo mentioned as well, before Povetkin got in that ring, I said something's wrong with this guy, 100%. He went to that ring so gingerly. He was like, bro, you should be going A&E, let alone the fight. So settle. To be honest with you, I settled quite quickly when I saw that. I was like, this guy doesn't seem 100%. Didn't know I should win this fight, but I still felt like it's still what I said in the run-up to the fight every week up into it is that Dillian Whyte just needs to be more responsible. The minute he's responsible, he had control and his levers, like you said as well, where he kept him in the jab and he was really, really disciplined in his attack. didn't really give him the openings. It was fine, and this fight was perfect. It was punch perfect plus a lesson to Povetkin, so it made life easier.
Do you think though that similarly to what you guys have just said about how Povetkin came out of the even in the ring walk looking not quite right, not quite right. Do you think Dillian clocked onto that and thought, and then gave it that first round, and then thought, you know what, this geezer ain't all that. I can go like hell for leather here and just let the thing go basically, and
actually
get him out of here early.
I think so. I think he just stuck to the game plan, except for the bits where he got a bit reckless. He pretty much stayed within the realms of what he's been told to stay within. It didn't seem, apart from those wild one-off shots, he wasn't too irresponsible, and he kept himself quite tucked up and tidy to keep himself safe.
No, I think he was actually quite desperate to get Povetkin out as early as he can, because he kept, even after the fight, he kept repeating himself, "Oh, I wish I would have got him out in the first round. I almost got him out in the first round. I knew I could have got him out in the first round." I feel like he knows that, the fight can change at any moment, and getting your opponent out as quick as you can, obviously takes away that chance that they can get. So I think he's very, very aware of that. Certain fighters, I think, are aware of, their weaknesses. And for Dillian Whyte, go ahead, Samson.
You know what it is, yeah? Just to kind of double back on that, yeah? I feel like what Dillian Whyte realized from the first fight was he had the opportunity to get him out of there and didn't take it. He kind of sat back and got easy. This time, the minute he seen like he had him hurt, he tried to get him out of there. But he still stayed. That's what I mean by he was responsible, where he wasn't just trying to get him out of there from the get-go. It was, okay, I've got you hurt, and I'm going to try to take you out and end the fight. But then once he realized, okay, he's not gone yet, he went back behind his jab and continued boxing again.
Let me ask you guys a question, though. I think we all agree that he looked good in this fight, right?
Yeah.
Compare Dillian, his best performances. So maybe Joseph Parker, some of his other top performances you guys can think. Where does this performance with Povetkin rank?
The best
in those performances. You think the best?
Nah, I wouldn't say the best.
It's the best because it's against the best opponent, and I think this is the most in control I've seen Dillian over the course of a whole fight.
Nah, I might get killed for this, but me personally, I feel like this was like maybe a 50% Povetkin.
Yeah,
because so many chances that's Povetkin's bread and butter to capitalize on.
But it's easy to say that afterwards. It's easy to say, oh, it's a 50% Povetkin afterwards. I don't think that's giving Dillian Whyte enough credit, personally.
Yeah, I agree with Lewis here. I think we've got to, guys, it's almost like what I said at the top. You've got to understand that he's going into the ring with a guy that knocked him out viciously 9 months prior to that. So it's like with the AJ thing with Ruiz, you can't lose to that guy again. If you lose to that guy again, it's a big problem. So I think you've got to add, that's a massive weight on your shoulder. That's why I would say it's his best performance, just because, not necessarily because it's Povetkin, but it's because it's against someone that knocked him out last time. So you know that guy can knock you out. It's almost like I was in Saudi Arabia for AJ Ruiz. AJ completely changed his style to beat Ruiz again. And this is why I got to rate Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte kept the same style, that rough rugby. We're not going to try and box. We're going to go in there and be a wrecking machine, and just kept to it. And I think he looked at Povetkin on the scales like a lot of us did and thought, what's this? I'm going to murder this man. I honestly thought he looked at him like, you're done. Like Povetkin looked awful on the scales. Like Povetkin looked, and look, I'm 40. I'm in better shape than Povetkin. Povetkin looked awful. For a 41-year-old to look like that, it shocked me. Professional athlete. So look, it wasn't a good Povetkin, but let's give Dillian Whyte a bit of props. Again, you're going in there and you're fighting a guy that knocked you out. Even Lennox Lewis, after he got beat by Hassan Rahman, had a fight in between. So it's risky sometimes. Not everyone rolls the dice straight away. Some people take their time, have a couple of gimme fights, and then boom, he went straight in there. So I've got to give him a bit of respect.
No, all the credit to him, 100% in terms of.
No, I definitely agree with that.
But I think Lucas Brown was probably the best, like Dillian Whyte we've seen, where he went in and dominated and controlled the fight and didn't look at any danger of losing. In terms of your question,
he was fighting Lucas Brown, though.
True, very true.
This Povetkin with COVID, would still bash the shit out of Lucas Brown. Like 100%.
Yeah, for real. I mean, again, like technically, you guys have seen the knockout, the first knockout. Technically, that's one of the best punches I've ever, like that punch to put Dillian Whyte to sleep was phenomenal. And Dillian Whyte's going in, and this guy's technical. He's very, very smart. I mean, this guy has been boxing since he was 11, Olympic gold medalist, as an amateur, European Championship gold medalist. This guy's the real deal, Povetkin. Only AJ and Klitschko beat him, and only AJ's put him to sleep. Like, this guy is real. So I think, look, yes, he was old, and we get that, but 41 isn't like seriously old for a heavyweight,
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
and AJ fought Klitschko, who was 41. Look at the shape he was in. Like, if you can keep yourself in good nick. I mean, look at Luis Ortiz first time round against Wilder. He was in his 40s. So it's not that old. So look, I'm not going to get too high on Dillian Whyte because I still think there's a lot to work on with Dillian Whyte, but solid performance. It's the pressure that I think people need to kind of take into consideration. That amount of pressure and still winning like that, respect it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Let me ask another question then. How much better do you think you can get from here? You guys think?
Interesting, isn't it? Like now, though, with Xavier Miller and Knight there, and I think there's an opportunity for him to get better. Sometimes I'm always like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's like Derek Chisora's got Buddy McGirt. It's still going to be Derek Chisora. Like, what's Buddy McGirt going to do in 6 weeks with Chisora? I mean, that's just not possible, is it? It's still going to be that guy. But I do think if he can stick with Xavier Miller for a long time, another 4 or 5 camps, I think he's going to make some improvements. Enough to get past the real big boys of the division, I don't see it. But enough to kind of handle the other guys in and around him, possibly. So the Andy Ruizes, maybe, the Hrgoviches, the Michael Hunters, yeah, possibly. But I don't see enough of this Dillian Whyte, regardless of who's in his corner, that can beat AJ or Fury. I just don't see it.
No, I agree with you, Ade. I think his level is always going to be, like you said, in between that 4th and that 10. He's like almost like, I don't want to call him a gatekeeper because I think he's better than a gatekeeper, right? But he's still a level below that elite. And you're right. I don't think he's going to get any better. And I think he could probably lose to Ruiz. He could lose to a lot of these men that are in like between even maybe down, there's some heavyweights coming up now that, potentially he might be in trouble against. And I just think I don't think we can really say with Dillian that he's going to get to XYZ level. I think this is his level. And I think this was a great win for him. I thought he looked fantastic, but I don't see him now going to this next extra level where he can, break the barrier of getting into that top 4 heavyweights, personally.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think he's done well to get where he's got as well. I mean, this is a guy that was a kickboxer coming up. I mean, hardly any amateur experience. Like, you've probably seen the interview where he's talking about fighting in leisure centers and in town halls in front of 50, 60, 100 people. For him to get where he is now, a pay-per-view guy on the cusp of a world title fight. I mean, you got to respect him, man. You honestly got to respect him because
Samson always says that he's overachieved.
Yeah, man, he's overachieved. There's some guys over here that I never thought would do that. It's almost like a bit like Tony Bellew. I never thought Tony Bellew would be a millionaire beating David Haye, or like never in my life, or Anthony Crolla. Them man, and I think Dillian Whyte's overachieved. So anything now for me is a bonus. So if his new training team can get him in and make some more money and pay-per-view fights, it's well done. If Dillian Whyte wins a world title, everyone thinks it's a given he wins a world title. I don't see it personally, but if he can win a world title, then my God, he has ticked every box. He has literally given every ounce of what he's got.
Really, this should have been the world title fight for him, right? This kind of like, because who is he going to win a world title against?
He needs to wait for the belts to fragment, which I think it will. I feel like after AJ Fury 1 and then the WBO goes, and after AJ Fury 2, if Fury wins, I feel like he's going to retire personally.
Yeah.
And that's just going to fragment the belts. If AJ wins now, then it's maybe a bit more, might be a bit harder. But I feel like if the belts fragment, then Dillian can get his title shot, win the belt against a guy should be.
The problem is though, look at if the belts do fragment, for example. Obviously, look, the WBA one's the easier route, right? Because that's Trevor Bryan and Manuel Charr. The other routes, the WBC, the next in line is Wilder. He'll have to fight Wilder for the vacant WBC. The WBO is Alexander Usyk. He has to fight Usyk. And then you got the IBF. He has to fight the winner of Hrgovic Hunter. So I mean,
they're all tough fights, man.
They're all
pick 'em like
with the Trevor Bryant route because everything.
Yeah. No, 100%. Let's talk a little bit about the Wilder fight because this is Dillian. Said after the fight that basically alluded to Deontay not wanting to fight really, And I've always wanted that fight. Because you see, I'm not a big Deontay fan. And I feel like Deontay really struggles against people who can fight and will take the fight to him. And I'm not saying Whyte would win, because I think he would still be quite a strong underdog in that fight. But I can see Dillian causing Deontay some real issues in that fight, man. Like proper issues.
I can see Dillian winning that. Although I still feel like Deontay's favorite, I can definitely see Dillian winning that. Again, like you said, Deontay does not know how to fight when he's under pressure. He just doesn't. And
it depends what Deontay Wilder we get. Right now, the way I'm seeing it, I think Dillian might get knocked out, man.
Dillian will put pressure on him. Dylan will 100% put pressure. Again, I've got Deontay favorite because that 1-2 is the best 1-2 in the division. And that 1-2 will put anyone to sleep. No doubt about that. But I feel like round one, Dylan's got 84-inch reach. As like he's got crazy long arms. From round one, he's going to be on Deontay's ass. He's going to stick it.
What happens when
Deontay can't fight backwards? That's
what happens when Wilder lands on Dylan and makes Dylan think about what he's doing.
But you say what happens? Basically, Wilder has to land early. He has to hit Dylan hard early. He has to hit Dylan hard early. Tyson Fury,
you say that, yeah. You say he has to hit Tyson. He has to land early. Let's not forget, in the first fight against Luis Ortiz, knocked him out in the 10th. So that power was there until the 10th. And even in the first fight with Fury, put him down in the 12th.
I agree.
Wilder stays until the end.
Wilder's got staying power. He's got late power. But the difference between Ortiz and the difference between Fury, especially Fury 1, is Whyte has power. Whyte is going to try to knock you out. Ortiz, when he was beating up Wilder, he
had nothing. Yeah.
After the 6th round, he got old. After he emptied his gas tank trying to take out Wilder, it was done. That was it, and that's when he got.
Who has Wilder fought that is a proper puncher?
Ortiz.
Yeah.
Ortiz is the hardest hitter.
To me, that's not like, I don't think that's even top 10 in the heavyweight division.
I don't think he's a concussive puncher. He hits hard, but he's not a concussive puncher. He's not.
You think Ortiz is top 10 like
currently
punchers in the heavyweight division?
Of course.
No,
not currently now. No, but then at the time, yeah, that guy could smack a little bit. You know, there ain't that many huge concussive one punch KO artists in the heavyweight division. I mean, we all said Daniel Dubois was. I mean, and Daniel Dubois was knocking out tomato cans. You know what I mean? And Daniel Dubois was knocking out the Fujimotos and the Lattes of the world. And everyone got a bit excited. Hit Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce didn't move. He had to back up a little bit.
But Joe Joyce is different. Joe Joyce's chin is a bit, you know.
Joe Joyce's chin mad. Don't get me wrong. It's mad, but I think like in terms of concussive one punch KO artists, there ain't that many, you know. Even AJ has to whack you a few times.
Yeah.
You
I
down.
think Wilder's the only one, but
Wilder has literally 4 hammer in that hand. It's a madness. We're all saying all of a sudden like, oh, Whyte's got a chance against Wilder. Remember, like Fury's the one that's caused this Wilder kind of dissing situation. Fury's ridiculous, you know. Like Fury's not normal, you know, that kid.
I agree with you, but these guys can vouch. Have I always been saying I reckon Wilder will get absolutely, we won't know what to do if he's getting pressured. I've always felt
way before that.
We've not seen someone. Basically, with PBC matchmaking, we've not seen someone.
Oh, here we go. He's an anti-PBC guy for some reason, by the way.
I'll be real with you because PBC stopped fights from happening. That's why I can never rate them. But anyway, that's another discussion.
Just to kind of touch on what Ade was getting onto, I think there might be a slight element of, because Fury made it look so easy, does that mean that Whyte can do it as well? Because for me, especially in this division, obviously we always say AJ and Fury are above the rest, right? And for me, that's something I could see, like an AJ. He can develop that kind of fight style, and he can probably pull it off on a Wilder. But because that gap exists, because those two are so good, I don't think it's easy to like assume that Whyte will be able to do the same thing, especially with those defensive flaws.
He might not even have to do the same thing.
I don't think he has to. Again, like I said, I feel like Wilder starts.
I think that's what everyone bases their opinion on Whyte winning, because we've all just said
no. Wilder, in my opinion, beats Whyte. He is definitely favourite in that fight. I'm just saying, I see how Whyte can win that fight.
Okay, that's fine.
Same. I can see Whyte just sticking it on Wilder. He probably gets knocked out, but he's gonna cause Deontay some real issues in that fight. So and also just going back to the punching element, like I said, I don't think Wilder is, and I know what you guys are talking about, big one punch punches. I'm fine. Ortiz is an example, because when Ortiz first came around, everyone was talking about him like, you know, he's this most ridiculous puncher we've ever seen before and whatever. We didn't quite see it, but you know, it is what it is. But other than that, I don't really feel like Wilder has fought someone who's going to stick it on him, number one, and number two, give him a bang. Do you know what I mean? Let's test that.
Yeah.
Let's test that Deontay.
I don't think his chin is that great either. I don't know.
And also after being beat up by Tyson, maybe mentally he's not there as well.
Yeah. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, but we say that, but remember Dylan Whyte just got knocked out as well. Like he got put to sleep as well.
They
Wilder
both gotta be,
lands
you know.
Whyte, yeah. Oh my! I think when Wilder come in reckless, like the way he comes in reckless.
Yeah, he's gonna get.
But the problem is as well.
You're not forgetting something. Dylan Whyte has gone down, yeah, against everyone he's fought, yeah, including Povetkin now for the last how many fights in a row. And you guys think that he doesn't get starched by Wilder?
I do think he probably gets starched.
We feel he loses, Samson, but to say that he has no chance, you're coming from a situation.
No, I'm not saying he's got no chance. I'm not saying he's good. I reckon he'll do well in the fight at times.
But I'm saying
do well and get knocked out.
I'm saying I can see how he wins. Like I
don't see how he wins.
You can't see it. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I can
Ultimately,
see a way of Dylan winning.
Ultimately, at some point in that fight, he gets absolutely starched. That's it.
Can you see it?
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like he can't get touched. And I don't think he has the boxing ability or capabilities to avoid.
That's where I'm coming from.
Right hand for 12 rounds. If he gets touched once, then you might as well call the ambulance.
Honestly,
is there anyone else we'd like to see Dillian fight after this? Obviously, we spoke about Wilder. There's a Ruiz fight.
That's a myth as well. That Ruiz fight.
I feel like Ruiz beats him.
Yeah, say that. And I feel like I say this on my channel. They're like, Addy, you're a Dylan Whyte hater. It's not. It's because I'm watching him, and I've watched Ruiz, and I think Ruiz is just too good for him. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe because again, I remember looking at Ruiz in the second AJ fight. Where I'm telling you now, and look, I love AJ, like AJ fanboy, all that nonsense. AJ was frightened to death of this man, and I'm thinking this is a guy that's 300 pounds, and AJ looking like a Greek god, and he was still scared of him. Like this guy's feet and hands and boxing IQ, and now he's on the complete raw meat as well with Canelo, and that team. I'm telling you now, this guy is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem because he's in that camp, and everyone in that camp wins. You know what I mean? Oscar Valdez wins. Ryan Garcia got put down by Luke Campbell. He got up like it was nothing.
He bounced up.
He got up like, oh, what's that? Let's go. And I'm like, what is going on?
He was like that. He was shaking his head.
I watched all of Oscar Valdez's fights, and he goes to war with everyone. And the way in which he beat, I can't remember the guy's name now.
I watched that.
I can't remember the guy's name that he beat. Miguel Bichel. He beat Miguel Bichel, and I'm astonished by it. I'm like, what? There's something dodgy about that camp. And if Andy Ruiz is joining the dodginess, it's a problem for people.
You're saying a lot there, Ade, without going full into the
details.
Remember,
I'm a broadcaster now. I've learned how to like this,
I hear what you're saying. Let's move on from the Dillian fight then. We'll go on to there was a really good fight on that I had no idea was going to be a really good fight, and mainly because I'll admit I hadn't heard of the guy he was fighting, and that was Cheeseman against Metcalf. What a fight that was! That was unreal. Like probably the fight of the night. Yeah, I agree. And Metcalf, like surprisingly to me, he was favorite coming into the fight by the bookies, which I don't know if I'm the only one here, but like I said, I didn't know who he was, and maybe that's just me being a boxing casual there. But Cheeseman was just really, really good, and that's the best I've ever seen Cheeseman fight personally.
I think because they're like the same level. I feel like those sort of fights when people are around the same level, they're not technically perfect. They have flaws, and they like throwing punches. You're gonna get a good fight. And I feel like Metcalf, right now, 154 pounds, the British level, a lot of people are around the same level. Like you can mix and match them and you get a lot of good fights. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why that fight turned out the way it did. If they fought again, I could see Metcalf win. Or another fight.
I can't.
It'll be much the same.
I think it'd be the same as well. I thought Cheeseman just outclassed him.
I didn't mean the ending, sorry, but I mean the fight itself will be much the same. It just tops in terms
Yeah, I feel like it was top. Like they both had moments. It was a great fight.
Same.
The ending
I saw Cheeseman hurt in that fight.
But it would just be the same war again.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of fights like you say, you could run that back 100 times and they're probably 50-50 it. I mean, JJ Metcalf came in as a favorite only because he had an unbeaten record.
Yeah,
I mean, this guy literally had one fight in 2019, one fight in 2020. They're just inactive. That was his problem, inactivity. So I always thought like if this goes late, he's got a problem just because Cheeseman's gas tank is scary. Everyone knows about it being scary. But you're right. You chuck in Anthony Fowler, you chuck in Egginton. There's so many of them that you just chuck in, and they're all the same. Fitzgerald, Hamza Shiraz. They're all of them are the same. There's no one above each other really.
Do you not think Hamza Shiraz has a higher ceiling? Like, do you not think the potential is there?
He's just big. I feel like he's just big. That's
big. Just big. Like
technically, really good
though. Bad about these guys, and then you see them going in against each other, and it's like, it's so difficult sometimes to get excited about British 154 pounders because when they go into the world or European scene, they get smashed to pieces. So it's almost like let me just see what you got first. Like Fowler wants to fight the Spanish guy, I think his name's Sergio Garcia. He wants to fight him, and he's good, and he beat up Cheeseman easily before. So I don't know. I think they're all the same. I really do. None of them super impressed me. Cheeseman's good. Cheeseman, I think we saw he's got the better boxing ability, but he takes a whack every fight. He's only 25, and he takes licks every single
25
fight.
Looking 30, man.
Exactly.
Looking 40.
You've been wrong to Lewis here. Lewis 30. Like,
I look significantly better than Cheeseman.
100% you do. Definitely. So I don't know, man. These guys take far too much punishment for me, but we'll see.
Oh my God. He said,
can you imagine Fowler versus Charlo? Yeah, that would be very, very.
He was sending his head to Pluto about Charlo.
You know what one of them should do? One of them should roll the dice and fight Tim Tszyu, Costa Tszyu's son, who just beat Hogan a couple of days ago in Australia. He's a really good 154 pounder, unbeaten. One of them should fight him and then go to America. The Americans are just too big, too strong. Just too big, too strong for these guys, man. I like them. I don't know what the Americans are doing, but they're walking around at like 6'1", cutting down to 154 pounds. It doesn't make sense for me. Jarrett Hurd 6'2", Charlo 6 foot. I don't get how they're getting down to 154 pounds. I really don't get it. They just look so much bigger than our British guys. So much bigger. It doesn't make sense to me.
Our plucky British lads, eh?
The Americans are just
full of beer and fish and chips.
Talking of beer and fish and chips, what did you think of Campbell Hatton's debut?
That segue.
That's
to Campbell Hatton.
That's what they pay me for. That
you know
is what they pay me for.
Fair to you guys, yeah. And to be fair to Campbell Hatton, I can't remember most people's debuts. If I'm honest with you, like
it's probably one of the most hyped debuts of all time.
Yeah, man, one of the most hyped. Conor Ben was similar as well. Like there are some greats that lost their first fight. I'm not trying to say he's ever going to become that. Look, Bernard Hopkins lost his first fight. And I'm not trying to say he's going to become anywhere. Obviously, he's not going to become a Bernard Hopkins, but I mean, he's really and truly, he should have his first fight in a leisure centre in front of a man and his dog. But what he does is pay-per-view. It's before Chris Kongo's fighting against Mickinson. It's a bit of a disrespect, but I mean, it's just too much pressure on the kid. Let me watch him in his 10th fight, then I can make a proper judgment. In his first fight, he's just nervous. And he's not a good amateur either. It's not like this guy was an Olympic amateur or world level amateur. He was a poor amateur. His fights were on YouTube. Wasn't that great as an amateur. So there's a lot to work on there, man. But he's going to get the opportunities.
I feel like with these legends' sons, or quickly, I feel like with these legends and their sons want to fight exactly like their dads. Like Ben had the issue as well. Hugh Back Jr. when he first came, like they want to, because they have the DNA, they feel like they have to copy their dad. And Campbell Hatton, I feel like he needs to get his own identity. And the moment he gets that, then we can see how good he can be. Because right now he's just trying to throw hooks like his dad's, chin in the air sometimes. It's too messy. But again, this is his very first fight. If I feel like Ricky needs to sit him down and say, you don't need to fight like me. You don't need to be like me.
It must be difficult though. You've grown up watching your dad, and your dad must be like a superhero to you. So literally, you've grown up. You probably watched all of these tapes. You've watched all of these fights,
Not
right?
all of them. He's probably missed out the Mayweather and the Pacquiao one.
He's probably, no, definitely missed out the Pac-Man one. I mean, that's probably not even anywhere to be seen. But he's probably watched all of his fights. His dad's a hero, and you've got to try and emulate. It's almost like I remember Chris Eubank coming to the ring with his dad's song. Conor Benn doing exactly the same thing. They're just copying their dad. And to be fair, Chris Eubank's now stepped out of his dad's shadow. I remember going to press conferences, and Chris Eubank Jr. didn't even speak. His dad spoke. He wouldn't even say. I was like, "What's up with this dude?" Finally, he's his own man now. Conor Benn's his own man now. So it's going to take time for Campbell Hatton to get there, but he will get there. He's young as well.
Sorry, that YouTube comment.
People are
horrible, man. People are very horrible.
Too critical of Campbell because at the same time, it's a Precious being invited because of the fact that his first professional debut was a pay-per-view bout late on the card as well, like which is mad when you actually think about it. I remember watching Groves versus Groves? I think it was Groves versus Foch, maybe. It was Groves. No, it was Foch versus someone in Wembley. Yeah, and AJ was on the bill, and I got there relatively like mid-decent time, and AJ had already fought.
Yeah.
This is Joshua. How am I watching Campbell around like 10 o'clock at night?
You know what it is? And look, I don't know if this is wrong or right, but Ricky Hatton, there was a time where he literally saved British boxing. Like, it was all about Ricky Hatton. Like, Ricky Hatton was the biggest name in British boxing for years. Like, Ricky Hatton would take 40,000 with him to Las Vegas. It was almost like the Conor McGregor now.
Yeah,
so it's almost like
100%.
My dad has saved the sport, and I'm doing like that. That should jump the queue. I'm jumping the queue because of who I am. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Look, he's going to get exposed. Clearly, look, the talent's not there. I think we all know that. We can see it. But again, let's give him till 7th or 8th fight at least. And the guy they put him in with, yes, the guy lost all his fights. That guy's only been stopped once.
And he fought another British fighter who was 12-0. I forgot the geezer's name. He fought this British guy who was 12-0, beat him, and the guy's never fought since. So it's like, I'm not too sure what's going on with the matchmaking there. I don't know if they've been a bit like.
I actually like it because he gave it a go. Like
he gave it a proper go.
Yeah, he did.
I like them.
You know, doesn't that show you though how difficult boxing is physically? Because let's be honest, Campbell Hatton would have been in the best shape he's probably ever been in, and he was blowing after the first minute 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Now we all play some sort of sport here at some level back in the day, whether we do now. We don't die after a minute 40.
Yeah.
That's how difficult boxing is. Like, this is a guy that's been training for like 3 months for this, and first minute 40, he's gone. I can see that there was nothing there for him anymore.
Think about it. If you go into any sort of scrap, after 2 seconds, you're tired.
You're done.
Think of what boxers are doing. No, honestly, like, when I used to fight my little brother, I'll be so tired.
You're done, bro.
And these guys going 12 rounds. Like,
your average fight on the street lasts 30 seconds.
Yeah. And they're tired.
They're done. That's it. Like, all right, mate. Oh, you win. It's done. Like, to be 20, 21 years old, all that pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
Got the W. I'm telling you now, again, in 10 fights time, you're not even going to remember the first fight. Yeah. It's just going to be forgotten.
I hope he does improve, though.
I feel like he needs to go down. I feel like he needs to forget about being lightweight. I don't know if he can. He's 18. I feel like he should be able to boil himself down a little bit more and basically go down a bit. I feel like he should use his size while he's learning, use it as an advantage. Because at lightweight, there's some big lightweights when he moves. If he eventually,
he's 5'5", right? He's quite small.
He's 5'5". That's what I'm saying. So I feel like they can maybe boil him down a little bit more and then have him like learn.
I don't know why they've turned pro. I'm a bit confused as to why. It's not like they're short of a few bob. I don't understand why they've still not stayed as an amateur for a couple of years and just try and just technically work on a few things. Like the rush to turn pro when he's that young.
Yeah, how old is he? Sorry, quickly.
20.
I think he's 20. Who's 18?
20.
I thought. Oh, okay. So
no, he's 20. He's definitely
20.
So he's still young. Like, 22 is fine.
Yeah, I did make a mistake. The guy who beat Stephen Dunton was talking about debut. That was
leave it.
Yeah, that was another tough debut, man. But like I said, that matchmaker wasn't good. Like I said, it wasn't Campbell Hatton who fought this guy. The guy who Stephen fought was a guy who beat a British fighter who was 12-0, and the guy's never fought again since.
Me personally, I feel like
that Denton fought was actually quite good. Like he did some good stuff personally.
Yeah.
He saw Denton's weakness and he took advantage.
Dude, Denton got.
He didn't look comfortable in there at all for me from round
Denton
one.
got cracked. And the problem with Denton is obviously, what is he, 32?
Yeah.
So they're trying to fast track. It might be a bit older than that, you know. So they've obviously tried to fast track him. Yeah, he's that old, bro. He's that old, man. So and you know, I watch him on Instagram, and he's in a ridiculously good shape. He's sparring it, mad, and then but you can't put muscles on the chin. Can't put muscles on the chin.
And you know what? It wasn't even like a knockdown, get back up. He was down. He was down. Like he was down.
You watch that fight back here. You know that same right hand was landing from that very
first round. Yeah. First round.
Watching that fight, I clocked as well. I feel like the BT commentary is much better than Sky, in my opinion. It's much better.
Oh, I hate BT commentary. I
think it's much better.
Stand it.
I like Richie Woodall, but it just seems, you know what it seems? It reminds me of like BT. Just reminds me of like when you go into Morrison's. I feel like I'm up north somewhere. It's old.
Oh, did it? Yeah.
I don't know what it is. That roast chicken going around in there.
The reason why I say that because things that I wasn't noticing, things in the fight that I didn't notice, they were actually like they kept talking about it. And I noticed, like for example, what Samson said, how he kept landing that right hand. I didn't know it at the start, but I then watched it back, and I heard the commentators they kept saying that he was finding the home with that right hand, and I saw it. And with Sky, like if you have a favorite fighter, like I always go back to the Richard Porgrace and versus Josh Taylor fight. If they have one fight that they like, or there's just always an agenda in the commentary.
100%.
Yeah, but it's always an agenda against specific. I don't want to talk too much, but I feel like with BT, they have a specific agenda against a certain group of people.
Every single commentators do it. To be honest, all broadcasters.
It's true.
Have you heard? What's Tim Bradley on ESPN? That guy was sick. Like, if you're an ESPN fighter, you got Tim Bradley. My God, you are the best fighter walking this earth. Like, all them do it too, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not really too amazed by that. It's me watching the noise.
The only one that I feel like doesn't have too much of an agenda, they don't use him anymore, obviously, because of what he said, was Paulie Malignaggi. He just says what he seems to want to say. Yeah, and
maybe that's why they don't use him.
Yeah, like he just says what he wants. And like I work for Sky now and again, and I know that they don't like that shit. Like, you know, you can't be on the booth and saying stuff like you're not supposed to.
Have you seen that skit with the kids that do the football thing
my God,
with the Micah Richards one? Have you seen it?
Yes.
That is hilarious.
Is that a bit like what it's like at Sky, where they got someone, you know, in the earpiece saying?
Sky is very like, it's weird because obviously you are like earpieced up, so it's weird. Obviously, you're talking down the barrel like this, but you do have a director in one ear and a producer in the other ear, kind of telling you what's what. So obviously, like, mad stuff. Like obviously, when I'm doing the stuff for Sky, I'm doing their football things. So like, I'll be reading that auto cue, so that's the screen where the writing goes down, and you're reading it. But then they're saying things like, okay, Ade, look, stop. Like, no, stop reading that line, jump to line 7. And they're doing all this as you're trying to read professionally to the camera. So like, Ade, stop. Oh, God. Ade, look, we're going break in 10 seconds. You need to stop now, Ade. 10, 9, 8, 7, rap, Ade, rap.
Oh, my God.
Break. That's happening as you're trying to be like, hello, and yes, Manchester United, you're trying to be as professional as you can.
And you're on TV as well.
It's crazy, bruv. Like, honestly, the amount of noise that goes on behind the scenes in your ear that you don't hear, but you've still got to keep very professional to the camera is.
How are you not flustered?
You are. That's why I watch it now and I see people make mistakes. And I'm like, I know when they're making a mistake because
it makes sense because we obviously as viewers we don't see that.
Yeah, so you'll see the mistake of this guy's rubbish. But I'm watching it thinking, shit, I know the producer's saying something to him. Something's happened right now. Like I remember I was on. Sorry, I know we're going to talk boxing. I remember when I was on. When Frank Lampard got sacked from Chelsea, and this was in the transfer show, and we were gonna do something else. And I remember literally the guy was like, Frank Lampard's been sacked. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm still talking normal, but in my head, I'm thinking, what? And they're like, Ade, how much do you know about Frank Lampard? How much do you know about Thomas Tuchel now? We're gonna need you to go. And I'm like, I know Thomas Tuchel, PSG, Dortmund. And I'm like, okay. And then Ade, break the news. I like to go to the camera. Frank Lampard has been sacked, he's been replaced. It's like that. It's mad.
I couldn't do it personally.
Yeah. No, it is different.
100% you guys. 100% you could do it.
I guess it's practice as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, once you've done something like 10 or 15 times, you know, obviously you're still nervous. Like, I can't lie to you. My heart is beating, like more than you could ever imagine. Like if a doctor came up to me and I'm like, what the fuck's going on with you? My heart, my lips get dry. Everything is wrong because I'm so nervous about it. You don't want to make a mistake, but
yeah,
get used to it, man.
Do Sky not get you involved with the boxing stuff then?
Not really. So I've only done a couple of interviews for the box, and obviously I've interviewed AJ, Dillian Whyte. I've interviewed like a few other boxers for their behind the scenes stuff. But Adam Smith really strictly sticks with what he's got. Like it always will be Matthew Macklin, it always will be Carl Froch, Johnny Nelson.
You need to switch it up, man.
They need to freshen up a little bit. You know,
need fresh faces, man.
Offered me a job recently, actually, to be their guy in the bubble because they want to basically set up a podcast. They want a guy to basically do the podcast and interview all the boxers and blah blah blah.
So they will do it.
I thought there'd be a conflict. I thought there'd be a conflict with this, like me doing this, because I want to be honest and say things about matchroom fighters.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to pretend that everyone is all of a sudden good.
Of course, there's that balance to be had all the time. Like it's
man.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I wouldn't last one, I'd get sacked.
Yeah, you definitely.
Oh my god, I would
PBC.
Yeah, because you'd have to be honest and say shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I want to say.
Exactly. You'd have to like kiss ass a little bit, right? Like Amir Khan came on Talk Sport the other day, and he was saying some nonsense about Kell Brook, and I was like, I was hearing it, and I was like, please don't come to me with it, because I thought they were gonna try and like Ade, would you? And I'm like, no, don't hear it.
Yeah, I agree.
I could not. I'd have to like really be honest and say, Amir, you're lying, bro. Yeah, and that's the problem. I was, I mean, you're lying, but I couldn't do it. So he's like,
but the thing is, that would be good for clicks and views.
Yeah,
so I'm surprised they don't.
It won't be good for your job.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for your job. Like, you'll get clicks. You know what it is? A lot of people want that quick hit of I said something mad, and bruv, but trust me, in this broadcasting world, you're gone quickly.
Yeah,
you're gone quickly, like very quickly. You got to be very, very careful, man. Like I love Rob Tebbett from Boxing Social. I go on their podcast. Rob Tebbett pushes the interview barrier a lot, and that's why he's
one of the best for me. He's
one of the best. That's why he's not always in the bubble.
Yeah,
that's why he doesn't go to all the boxing events, because they're like, well, they push back on him a little bit. So you gotta be a bit careful.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Rob is the best, but you gotta be careful.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Just going back on to Saturday's fights. Just got a few more to cover. Obviously, we were all a bit upset that Chris Congo lost to Michael Mackey. So obviously, Chris came on the podcast. And that was a difficult loss to take.
He looked poor.
Yeah,
I like Chris Congo as well, but you got to say it how it is, man. I expected more. I really did. I think Mickenson's awkward. Came in southpaw, very weird, didn't he? Like rushed it. But I expected Chris Congo to have that problem for the first couple of rounds, because I've seen Mickenson fight once before, but then I expected him to work it out.
Yeah, he couldn't figure him out.
He didn't figure it out.
Yeah.
He didn't figure it out. And he got caught a couple of times as well. Chris Congo got cracked a couple of times, and that shocked me, because Mickenson isn't a puncher. Like Mickenson's, I think, won 19-20 fights, only stopped 2 of his opponents. I did say that at the end of the fight, this should have been a 12-rounder. I don't know why it was a 10-rounder fight. Then maybe Congo might have nicked a points decision, but it just wasn't good enough on the night. And look, we all like Chris Congo. He's a nice guy. I want to see him do well, but you got to be honest, he just didn't look that good on the night, unfortunately.
I know I do that though. I appreciate the fact that he hasn't come out and said that his camp was terrible or this injury or whatever. He just literally said, you know what, he had a bad fight. He'd come back stronger, and I respect him for that, man. I respect him so much for that. Like when he comes back, I'm expecting to see the Chris Congo we expected. As long as that happens, then all bless.
Yeah. Did he really come into the ring with a Millwall jersey?
Yeah, he did.
He should have lost the fight straight away.
He was doing stuff on social media with Millwall as well.
Yeah. They both fighters were.
Yeah.
I know. I think Mickenson had Portsmouth in it.
Mickenson was Portsmouth.
Yeah,
see, Dapo's doing this whole Latin Russia thing again. You know, like Dapo geography is not his strongest point that day. Basically, it is.
And they don't listen to them, man.
Dapo said Glowacki is Mexican. So,
did I even say that? I didn't even say that, but all right. Listen, I didn't even say that.
Okay, you didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
You inferred that.
Okay. It is well.
Because the placing of the statement just seemed a bit off. We were literally talking about Glowacki, and he was like, "Yeah, these Mexican fighters, man."
We've all done it. We've all done it. We've all done it.
Maybe the producer was speaking in his ear and he just didn't,
Well, I'm saying that's the pressure, bro. Like when you're on air, so imagine that happening on air. You're done. There's no comeback from it.
Well, I was trying to say,
people online will come for you immediately.
All I was trying to say is I wanted a British fight to get a dub. That's it. I don't know how I got the message across misconstrued, but I was trying to say we didn't recently look good in some of our fights in the past, like Josh Kelly and stuff like that. So I wanted us to bring something home. That's all I was trying to say. And these guys just start cooking me, but it's all good.
The only good thing for Chris Congo is obviously look, he signed to Dillian Whyte. So if Dillian Whyte fights, 9 times out of 10 he'll be on the card. He's going to get a chance again. You know what I mean? But
what does he have to do though? Is it back to the drawing board kind of thing though?
It's maybe Marcoux. Marcoux's the name, right? Florian Marcoux in the division. If Marcoux wants to stay at 147, there is talk about Ahara Davis coming up to 147. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's fights out there, or maybe you go the international route and try and get one of those. Look, he had a global title. Maybe you just try and go and fight some of the international guys because British level at 147, Conor Benn, Josh Kelly, he's not going to get those fights. Why is Conor Benn going to fight him now? Or maybe you go rematch. The fight was a bit dud.
I was going to say, do you think he can run it back?
I think that's a rematch he can win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Mickelson, you can see why he's only got 2 knockouts. He's very, very economical with his punches. Like he doesn't waste punches, and someone like that, you can overwhelm them personally.
The thing for Mickelson, as much as he's celebrating the win and congratulations to him, I didn't see anything that excited me that Eddie's going to invite him back to be on a card. It's not like oh yeah, we've got to get this guy on a card again. There's nothing exciting. He's not signed to a big promoter or manager, so. Yes, he's got his belts and he's got the title and he's unbeaten in 19, 20 fights, but
that wasn't really a highlight win. Like,
it wasn't a highlight.
If you had missed the show, you wouldn't know that you won that fight.
Yeah, it was a shit fight in it, to be fair.
Wait, did you guys see what was happening in round 12? Because seriously, like there was this weird amateur points hit and put your hand in the air thing. Oh, what's going on here?
Both of them were doing it. It's like both of them were trying to convince the judges that I've won. Landed a couple and started doing that, and I'm like, no, man, this is a bit silly, man.
Yeah. The other fight on the night, which I was a bit, I didn't know quite what to think about, was Fabio Wardley's win over Eric Molina. Now I know Eric Molina is like a well-established heavyweight, but essentially a PE teacher. I really wasn't impressed by Wardley's performance, and I don't really see the hype in this guy personally. But Ade, what do you think?
Look, I always thought it was going to be a difficult fight for Wardley. Not that Wardley wouldn't win, but that Molina is an experienced vet, right? I mean, the last person to beat Molina was Hrgovic, and everyone's overly excited about Hrgovic right now. Fabio Wardley is an interesting one because let's not forget this guy has come from a white collar background. There is no amateur background. This guy was fighting white collar, which literally you phone a friend and you have a fight. So for him to kind of be where he is now after 10 fights isn't bad. I don't like his style personally. I think he needs to almost go back to just being basic. Yes, you can have that flashy stuff you've got in the locker, but just be basic for me. Yeah, I hate that kind of thing. Everyone tries to be flashy before they're rigid. Like, be that first and then add that. Everyone wants to be Roy Jones Jr. before they can walk.
I lost count on how many times he would throw a feint and he did nothing.
Oh my god, I couldn't.
His feint was awful.
It was like that. It was every second was a feint, and I'm like, what is going on here?
He's not biting, so switch it up a little bit,
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that point that he's making. Like, everyone wants to be Roy Jones Jr. Like, even Fury, who everyone believes is the best boxer in the division. If you watch his early fights, he wasn't doing all that. He was just trying to win, get the basics right. And I feel like a bunch of these guys, they've grown up watching, like you said, Roy Jones Jr.,
Mayweather syndrome.
Mayweather. Mayweather's the worst. I feel like Mayweather's, as we always say, Mayweather's killed our people because a bunch of guys are coming up trying to shoulder roll and don't know how to do it. And I feel like Wardley is part of that. As you said, he's done white collar, he's fought his friends, and he's trying to come to the heavyweight division just with a bit of flash. And you're gonna get
it is though. It's not, and look, we might criticize the fighters, and that's all well and good. We can critique the fighters, but what about the trainers? I mean, are the trainers not seeing these guys with their hands down low in the shoulder roll from Floyd and not telling them, stop this nonsense?
Yeah,
stop this nonsense. If you want to get where you want to get, let's do it. And that's why we say, like, where are the very good elite trainers in this country? We've been saying it for a long time.
Yeah.
You've got Joshua Whyte, who's left the country to go to Virgil Hunter rather than look for a guy here. I think there are some good trainers here, like Shane McGuigan, I think, is a fantastic trainer.
We're all a big fan of him.
Everyone, yeah, great trainer. But I'm just sometimes I kind of look to the trainers. If I'm a boxer and I walk in the gym and I do that, I expect my trainer to kind of teach that out of me eventually. But we're not. It's not happening, is it? So you got to blame the trainers. You've got to blame the trainers sometimes.
Yeah,
Lopez used to do that a lot. Doesn't do it anymore. You know, so, I don't know, man.
Yeah, after Josh Kelly's last fight, we weren't happy with his trainer straight after on that podcast. I remember.
Adam Booth is like that, you know. All of Adam Booth's fighters are like that. I mean, you go back to David Hay and George Groves. All of them are like that. They all have that kind of weird, flashy style. So that's clearly what he teaches them.
5 years ago, I called Adam Booth an overrated PT personal trainer. I was like, he's not a boxing. He's a tactician. He's not really a boxing trainer. He's just a tactician.
Adam Booth would be very good with someone else. Because Adam Booth really psychologically will really get into the fights that you are the greatest, you are the best. So good at speaking, so good at putting a game plan together.
Yeah.
But in terms of maybe just the fundamentals of boxing, maybe he doesn't have it the way the others do, the top guys do.
Yeah, 100%. Before we wrap things up, guys, I do want to talk a little bit about obviously the news that came out today. I think it was about Amir Khan and Kell Brook getting it on. 5 years too late, probably.
I don't care. Like I said, I would never ever forgive Khan. Like if Khan was in the same presence as me, obviously he can knock me out. I'll tell him, you ruined one of the biggest fights that I wanted to go to, I wanted to experience because you were scared of Kell Brook. I'll tell him. Again, it could starch me out 120%, but I can never forgive him for that. I can't. Like, I wanted that fight so much. This is why I'm so hard on Spence as well. I feel like you can't do this. No, you can't put roadblocks behind a fight and then keep shifting it until the fight no longer happens and no longer has value. Like, I don't care. I can't respect you.
Well, the thing is, though, with that, I've done numerous videos saying exactly what you said. Like, I blame Khan for it as much as Khan was getting on with his career, though, you know. So as much as Khan was chasing Pat-Man and Mayweather and didn't get their fights, Khan was in America making some good money, some good bucks, where Brook was fighting the likes of like Beezer and Frankie Gavin. I remember I went to that one at the O2 Arena. If Brook was on his own, was doing his own thing in his own lane, making big fights, that fight would have happened because both of them would have been monsters. Khan was so much in front of Brook in terms of star power. Brook was like, Khan was the one that was dictating. If, for example, they were on the same level for a while, that fight might have happened. You know, Brook stalled his own career. Like, I know Brook just does not live the life of a boxer. Trust me. Like, Brook isn't living the life at all. Brook stalled his own career. Like, I'm a big Brook fan, and Brook. We should be talking about Brook the way we're talking about Errol Spence and Furman and them, man. Like, Brook beat Porter, and look at Porter. Porter's still in the mix now. That's how good Brook was. Brook ruined his own career. And
he was very good against Porter as well. Like, he beat him comfy.
Imagine, like, that fight against Crawford hurt me so much. The way Brook got beat like that killed me. I was like, what's this? Couldn't believe it. So I'm angry with Khan. But Khan's been in the fights. Khan's made the money. Brook's the one that I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Brook's taking his life for 100%. He done himself a disservice. And
who the fuck decided to put Brook in with Golovkin? At the Golovkin, you know, the boogeyman of all boogeyman. They said, Brook, okay, got from 147 to 160 and fight a guy that none of the other 160 guys want to fight. Canelo said no. Cotto said no.
Eddie Hearn sacrificed him for his cause.
Sacrificial lamb.
Listen, but you're not going to make any money fighting Kevin Bezier and that, you know.
No, but that fight finished Brook, man.
Eddie Hearn sacrificed him for one card.
Finished Brook. Not only did it take his O, which is massively important, right? Psychologically to keep your O, orbital bone broken.
Man.
Like what is going on? What is going on?
Who wins that fight?
No. Yeah, who is the like? I know we don't care, but
seriously, Lewis,
I find it difficult to judge it.
I want Brook to stop him. I want Brook personally because of my agenda. I want Brook to stop him.
Seriously, after what happened with Crawford, that just tells you that Brook is really fucked. Like he should be. Like if
probably win.
Brook is done. If Brook lands on his cast chin, Khan's done. Whoever lands first is done.
What if they're both landing each other at the same time?
The thing is though, yeah, I feel like if Brook lands on Khan, Khan don't get up. If Khan lands on Brook, Brook could get up. But if Khan lands on Brook, my God. It could be a Canelo situation where Khan was out and he didn't look like he was going to wake up ever again.
You think Brook carries that sort of power?
For Khan, he probably does.
Like 151 or 152, yeah, 147. No, 147. Brook is like a Ferrari with no engine. He looks amazing, but there's nothing inside him at 147. He looks great. You know how hard it is, guys, to get. Like, I don't know if you guys have gone and watched these guys cut weight. Yeah, it actually doesn't even make sense. No. Like, these guys are not eating, but yet we're expecting them to walk into the ring and be like at their unbelievably strongest best. It's so strange how they do it. The weight cuts are just silly. They're incredible. So, I mean, Brook would want to fight at 160. Like, Brook really wants a Chris Eubank Jr. fight at 160. That's what he really wants. So you don't have to cut weight. He does not want anything around 147 or 154 anymore. Wow, crazy.
Brook wins because Amir Khan thought butter was kept in the cupboard. What's that in reference to?
Oh, that person's watching Amir Khan's documentary.
That's a documentary.
All the things you can watch on Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
watching Amir Khan documentary. Jeez, come on, AJ. Put that.
You know what? Yeah, you said that was the news. I'm sorry, man, but you're not going to overlook the Pacquiao Crawford potential bout because. That's what.
Oh yeah. I was gonna get onto that at the end. Sorry, I did want to squeeze that in, but yeah.
Actually, Lewis, just quickly before you go on to that, what's his name? I forgot his name. The guy that got knocked out on BT.
Denton.
Oh, Denton. Where does he go next? Just a quick question.
Back to Netflix.
You know, maybe he's an actor, isn't it? So maybe he just sticks to acting that he does because, I mean, again. They put you in a debut against a guy to win. That's the debut, right? They really look at it and think, okay, this is one. This is an easy one. Your debut is supposed to be the easiest fight, and he's not losing as a 20-year-old either. Like I said, he's 34, I believe.
I didn't realize he was that old. I thought he was younger.
Well, I actually think he only got the opportunity, and this is again, I've reached out to him on Instagram and said, look, keep going, blah blah blah. But I think he only got the opportunity because of his like a bit of fame. Obviously, he's friends with Lawrence Okoli, sparred AJ. Like, he wouldn't have got an opportunity on BT Sports if it wasn't for that. So now I think Frank's going to be
AJ agenda. He's giving them so much ammo at BT.
Yeah,
he's AJ sparring partner.
I think he signed a 3-fight contract with Frank, so he's going to have a couple more fights. But
I hope he comes back and actually does something like just purely because of this. It's so fucked, man. His
chin ain't built for it. His chin ain't built for it. I feel like Queensbury are bleeding. They need something.
Frank Warren's scratching for fighters, isn't he?
Yeah, look what happened to Hutchinson.
Frank Warren has had the maddest year. Like L after L after L after L.
Bro, actually, honestly, it's the kind of thing that'll put you in a heart attack, you know? Like, honestly,
it's his own fault. It's his own fault anyway.
Dubois, Yard, these are supposed to be his pay-per-view guys.
Yeah.
When I watch Frank Warren interviews now, he gives me like loser energy. I don't know if that makes sense, but like he's
just jealous of Eddie. That's all it is. He's just I've had this feeling for a long time. He hates Eddie so bad, and I think it's just it's competition. He knows he can't match.
You know, yes, you're right. He can't match it, but like the way it works with the broadcasters, though, is that remember, like BT are giving. This is just an example, by the way. Like BT would give Frank Warren 700,000 to put on the show. Yeah, Sky give Matchroom 2 million to put on a show. So Frank's got to try and do what he can do with 700,000. So you know when we say, "Oh, the cards are shit," because he's not getting the same money. Like if it was the other way around and he had 2 million to put on a show, I think the fight cards would be so.
Let me ask you a question, Adi. Let me ask you a question. If Eddie went to BT, do you think they'll be giving him 700 grand?
Yeah, Eddie's way
no, they wouldn't. Not now, anyway. Not the way it is now. They would be confident in the fact that he can obviously like put on great shows and get great views and sort of pay it back. Frank was close, you know. And look, I'm not a fan of Frank Warren. He tried to sue me. I'm not a fan of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he tried to sue me.
Frank Warren trying to sue everyone. What is it?
Yeah, he's the suing king, isn't it? He's trying to sue people.
They're gonna try and sue us. We better give it. Done it.
Gotta be careful. He tried to sue me. I interviewed Barry Hearn, and Barry Hearn said something about him. So it wasn't even me. And I put the video up, and Frank watched the video and said, "Oh, if you do not take that shit down, I'm gonna sue you." So we had to remove like a chunk of what Barry Hearn said from the interview.
Wow.
Gosh.
But he's been so close, you know, Frank. Like you look at the stable he had a year and a half ago, yeah? And that stable was Billy Joe Saunders, Josh Warrington, Carl Frampton, Dubois, Yard, Fury. It's just almost. I thought there was a period when I thought his stable was actually better than Matcham's a year and a half ago, and it's just not worked out. I don't know what's happened. It's just not worked out.
It could always change, right? Look, if Yard wins the Lyndon Arthur rematch or whatever happens, we still don't really know what's going on there. You know, if Dubois is still quite young, it could change around. But I think Eddie's pool of talent is just deeper. You know, it's wider and it's deeper. I just think
if I get the fact that Eddie has tapped into international markets now. You got Devin Haney, you got Canelo. I think it's done, man. It's gone.
Yeah, it's done. And Eddie needed that as well, you know, because I was over here thinking, where's the next star over here for Eddie?
Matchroom, yeah.
Where's the next star in Matchroom over here? Like now, obviously, look, Lawrence has got a belt and good because Lawrence is now starting to do music. He's becoming a bit of a star.
Yeah.
But Boatsi wasn't moving. I mean, everyone was retiring. He's getting some L's as well. Josh Warrington was a big L for him as well. A big L. So like, if Josh Kelly was a big L, so he's had his own L's as well. But it's because he's got that American stable, he can survive. Like he's a bit like Whyte in the summer was a massive L.
It was a massive L. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You see, Eddie, he can afford to take the L's. Even in Britain, he can afford to take the L's because I think his pool of talent is vaster. Like he's just got a wider range of a wide variety of talent. And I think he can withstand L's. Whereas Frank Warren, Yard loses and Dubois loses, he's in big trouble because that's his pay-per-view guys.
Yeah, it's massive, right? And they just got to a stage where they might become pay-per-view, and then boom, both of them lose. And the worst thing for even Yard, I know. Sorry, we're going over, aren't we? Fuck it. Times. What are we doing tomorrow? Nothing.
Sleeping.
The worst thing for Yard is that Yard thought Lyndon Arthur was easy work.
Yeah.
So even if Yard has a rematch and wins again, it shows where Yard's level is as well.
Yeah.
Like he thought he was going to run through Arthur, and in the end, he lost to a guy with one hand. It's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, I hate man.
No, I feel like for that if that rematch happens, because again, Yard has the athleticism to just is incredible.
I think Yard fucks him up in the rematch.
He has to run him over, in my opinion. Yard has to absolutely run through Lyndon Arthur if they have a rematch for him to be looked at the same way as we was looking at him before, him versus Boatsi. That's what.
Yeah.
I must be mystifying. Who is Yard ran over that we think he can run over Lyndon Arthur?
No. He hasn't yet. That's what I'm saying. But that's what he needs to do if he wants to be at that level, to be talked about on that stage where we can make a future Boatsi fight, world level, win a couple titles. He has to show he's a cut above the domestic level. You
know, Yard has done. And look, again, this is why I like sitting in this green chair, you know, because when I sit in this green chair, no lies come out the mouth, you know. I've had Tunde here as well, and it was quite difficult because Tunde is quite aggressive. He can't even get a word in. But I think a lot of us have been a bit not fooled by it, but we look at Yard. He looks great, doesn't he? Let's be honest. He looks like a specimen. He looks sharp when he hits the pads. That shit ain't boxing, you know. Like, I mean, boxing isn't a bodybuilding competition. But boxing is just about ability and skill, you know. And sometimes I look at Yard and I love him, but I don't know, man. I don't know. There's some guys, especially in the light heavyweight division. There's some guys out there that, I mean, even Beterbiev went to Russia the other day, took 10 rounds to get rid of a guy I've never heard of in my life. There's some people out here that we do not know about. And I just don't know if Yard's ready for what's in the light heavyweight division. I don't know. I expected Yard to run through Lyndon Arthur, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe it.
One thing I would say about Anthony is I think he has the mentality of a winner. And
to be fair though, as well, Lewis, his mum and dad, didn't two of his family members die from COVID?
His dad and his nan. His dad and his nan. Yeah. He went through a lot before that fight. And I think he has this mentality of, I can't explain it, but it's someone who I believe is destined for greatness, and he just has this unshakable winning mentality that I feel like is going to carry him over the line. And the way he works.
No, Lewis. Then when you say this, what are we talking, like world level? You think we'll win a world title? What do you mean?
this it's always difficult to project because we don't like you said, there is that pool of talent is, you know, ridiculous at that level, and you never know how good someone is. But if you're asking me, you know, is his mentality good enough to take him past Lyndon Arthur? I think it is. I think
so as well. In the rematch, I think he actually beats him.
Yeah. And then from there on in, you know, that might be the step he needs to take to, you know, progress. He's still, you know, Anthony is such a novice boxer. You know, he started so late. You know, he's still learning. This COVID break has been awful, really and truly, because he's fought once in the last 2 years. That's not good for his development. That's awful for his development. You know, since Kovalev, he had one run around fight in Spain and then had the Lyndon Arthur fight. This is a guy who's still learning.
Yeah, but you know what it is with that, and you're right. Like, hardly any amateur fights. What was it? 12, 13 amateur fights.
Yeah, if that.
Like, this is a job where none of that shit counts, you know. Once you're in the ring, no one's saying things like, oh, this man's still learning the job. This man's still got a few fights. You're in the ring. And you're in the ring. Once that bell goes, good luck. Your opponent isn't, you know, let me take it easy on this kid. You know, he's only had 12 fights. No. You're taking my head off. I'm taking your head off. And now he's fought for a world title. That's it. You can't drop down. So it's like, for me, I've always thought that he should go British, European, Commonwealth, that route. But, you know, they kind of circumnavigate it. You're there now. You're at the top level. You can't come back down now to British and European and area level. You're there. And that's his biggest problem. They went for another route, which I didn't think they should have got. They got the Kovalev fight. What do you do now? Like, how far do you fall back down now to start learning the trade? He's got to learn the trade at European level. That's not easy to do. That's not, because you're fighting guys that have got 100 amateur fights. You're fighting guys that have been in there 30 times. Good luck. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult to learn. Conor Ben's doing the same thing. He's going through a weird route. He fights Vargas and loses. Where does he drop to? It's a very, very weird thing what they're doing. But I like Yard personally from East London. I like it. I want him to do it. And I'm saying it's just in case he sees this and he sees me. I don't want no trouble. But I think Yard's a great fighter, man.
I'm going to send it to him later.
I think they should add someone to the camp alongside Tunde, and I've said this. I think they should add someone. I don't know who they should, but I think they should add someone. Like the way when AJ lost to Ruiz and they added someone to help him with Rob McCracken, like the way Dylan Whyte's added someone to his camp. Yeah. I think another voice in the camp, another few different ideas, different looks, different techniques can help Yard a lot. Because he does that shoulder roll thing as well. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. No. Just before we finish off,
this has been fun. Shit, it's been fun.
Yeah, sorry for keeping you too long, Ade.
There's something weird and nice about filming late. I don't know what it is. I like it now.
We're just five guys chatting shit.
I kind of forget that you're recording something. You're just talking.
It's good, man.
Is Pacquiao Crawford happening? Let's just leave with this topic. Is it happening?
I thought it was official.
Is it official?
No, it's not official yet. It's just rumors.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I want it to happen. I
want it to happen badly.
I badly want it to happen. Like, I really want
you know what? Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
All kudos to Pacquiao if the fight does take place, because honestly, he has no business in the ring with Crawford. But at the same time, I want it to happen just purely because it then gives Crawford a bit more weight behind his argument for a better percentage, which might push the Spence fight through. Then we finally get the fight we want to see, the welterweight division.
I feel like Bob Arum's just being a bit naughty here, obviously, because Teofimo Lopez versus Cambosos is on exactly the same day on Triller.
I didn't know that.
So I think Bob Arum is just trying to do that as if to try and scare Triller. Like, okay, you want to take Teofimo from me?
That is so petty. That is so petty.
On the biggest fight I can think of putting on.
Can we talk about this for a sec?
So that's June the 5th date. So that's I think he's just doing it to scare. Yeah.
What's his beef?
He's old.
He doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't care. He's a 92-year-old man thinking, fuck it, I'm dying in 4 years.
Bob Arum is what Frank Warren would be if Frank Warren actually had some clout.
Yeah.
He's a hater. Bob Arum's a hater, man.
Bob's a hater. So that's why I'm a bit like cynical. Like, is it real or is he just doing it just to scare Teofimo Lopez?
That man.
Yeah. That's why I don't believe
even how it was announced was quite weird. It was announced through an interview. So I don't know.
Does Pac have another fight in him? Can he beat Crawford?
Dude, Pac-Man, yeah. You know, like, look, we're all, well, I'm the oldest here, but we're all quite young. And let me join your group. We're all quite young. And all them old people will always tell you, oh, like, the top 10's the top 10. No one can break into the top 10. Like, we do it now with football. Like, I'm an old school Ronaldo guy. So not the new Ronaldo, the old Ronaldo. Like, oh, no one's better than him. Well, Messi and Ronaldo have come along and done madness. So they probably are. What Pac-Man's done, it just doesn't even make sense. Pac-Man's a top 10 fighter of all time. It's actually ridiculous. If he were to fight Crawford and beat him, I don't even know what to say. Like,
listen, I'm a massive Mayweather fan. I'm openly saying if Pac-Man was to beat Crawford, my gosh, even I would openly say definitely surpassing Mayweather's career and 100% right into ATG kind of.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about it? Like, there was talk about Cotto versus Marquez, an old man fight. Like, you know, like kind of like a thriller fight, like Tyson Roy Jones. That is Pac-Man's era.
Yeah.
So they're fighting, and it's 49 madness. So they're fighting. So they're fighting like the exhibition old man fight.
Yeah.
Cotto is younger than Pacquiao. Marquez is the same age. And Pac-Man's gonna have a real one against the pound for pound. What's Crawford? Number 2, number 3, unbeaten world champion. It's a madness.
Crazy.
Even him beating Thurman was quite crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even that.
When they say throwback, no, I'm just saying when they say that people love using that term throwback. There's not many. Pacquiao for me is probably the last quote unquote throwback fighter. Like he fights everyone, and I've not seen him say no to a fight. He just goes.
Yeah, there's no stories ever of how Pac-Man ducked it. Like, you know, like you get Canelo ducked early GGG. Like when GGG was really there, Canelo didn't want to know. I don't know anyone that says there's a story about Pac-Man ducking a fight and not accepting it.
Wasn't there though? Like Floyd tried to paint the narrative, obviously, about him, and like, he didn't want to do the blood test and all of that stuff. Does that not count as ducking?
Don't get me wrong. I definitely think he's juicing. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't think Pac-Man's on the good old fresh orange juice. I mean, Pac-Man has been doing the naughty stuff for years. Like, there's a guy, a boxer called Larry Olabamiwo that you guys might know. I don't know if you know. He's a heavyweight over here. And if you check up his record on BoxRec, this guy was like a wrecker machine. He lost 1, then he won like 13 in a row, got popped by UCAD over here, and then lost 9. He basically, he lost 9. Larry, massive heavyweight, really big. So we're talking about 12 years ago. Like, honestly, everyone was talking about him like this guy could do some damage. He got popped with every drug you could like legally. Like
Jerome Miller.
Yeah, honestly, exactly like Jerome Miller, but maybe just
got the whole periodic table in the system.
Higher level. So I interviewed him, I spoke to him, and he was in that camp. He was over in the Pac-Man's camp for a while with Freddie Roach. And he literally, this man's got stories to tell. But he will tell you now that everyone is juicing. I even asked him, why did you juice? Like, why did you go into the ring juicing? Because he's been doing it from the get-go. And he's like, everyone's doing it. Every single person is doing it.
I believe that because I watched a Netflix documentary called Icarus.
Yeah, I've seen it. I love it. Yeah.
When I watched Icarus, I thought, do you know what?
Some Povetkin,
just legalize it because it's beyond ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. You know, like everyone is fucking doing it. Everyone is doing it.
Pound for pound, number 1 in the sport got caught cheating 2 years ago. No one even talks about it. Do you know what I mean? Tyson Fury got caught. Do you know what I mean? No one talks about Tyson Fury got a ban. Everyone seems to think that Tyson Fury went off the wagon, put on weight. No, Tyson Fury was banned. He got caught. Do you know what I mean? We know Billy Joe Saunders is going to fight Canelo. Billy Joe Saunders got popped 2 years ago when he's supposed to fight Demetrius Andrade. Like, everyone of all these big fights out there, like Dylan Whyte, all the issues. Povetkin got caught. He's supposed to fight. Deontay Wilder went to Russia to fight Povetkin 3 years ago. I got
Povetkin's been popped a few times, right?
Like, literally, all these people are in pay-per-view headline main event fights. They're all cheating.
The only one who hasn't been popped yet is my king, AJ. You know, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
AJ is full of Eba and Amala now.
That's our own PD. Don't worry about that.
So he's full of jollof rice. He's okay.
All right, guys, let's leave it there because it's getting late and I can't lie.
We've got 2 questions to ask Ali. What
All right,
side of the coin to call on? AJ versus Fury.
Oh,
Who
Fury,
wins?
man. Fury.
Okay.
Fury's too good.
Louis,
Fury, unfortunately, and trust me, Jide, I see Jide looking at me like, you bastard.
Remember what Andy said at the start of the podcast? He said his predictions are always wrong. So this is a good maybe a bit of reverse psychology there from AJ as well.
That AJ wins, but that Fury, man, it's psychologically as well. He just so, I don't know how he does it, man. Just gets the job done, doesn't he? Scares me.
Louis, put it back in your back. I can take it for free. Spence versus Crawford. Who wins?
Crawford.
Damn.
I'm a big Terence Crawford fan. I love Terence Crawford. I really do. But again, that upsets me. That fight ain't happening, you know. So to think that this is boxing and we're not going to see Crawford versus Spence is just crazy. Just crazy. Just crazy. I love that somebody you got some crazy people commentating, you know, below. I love it.
We got some good loyal listeners, man. It's a bit late, so not many people join in the lives, and we've only just started doing the lives. Are you guys
doing a live watch along for Carl-Frampton?
Probably not.
What? You know, you guys have got to like you've got to like up the game and do it. Like I'm doing it. I know it's live on Channel 5, and you don't, you know, not many people are gonna do it. You got to like be super consistent and just do every live watch along possible.
Are you doing one?
Yeah, 100%. Like I wasn't. I'm like, of course I'm doing it, dude. I bought all new camera equipment, new mics, everything.
You're getting your money's worth.
Getting my money's worth, and then obviously, like you get people that, you know, you drop you some super chats to support and do it, man. Do a watch along, people. Like the channel will grow and grow and grow. Like people want to hear a different sort of voice talking about boxing. You know, no one wants to hear the hardcore guys. Like we're trying to bring in the casual fans. And the casuals will tune on to you guys watching it, especially because you guys are young as well. You know what I mean? Like,
I like how you keep saying young, man. I love it because I feel like I'm old, but yeah.
Oh
no, Ade, man, I really appreciate you coming on, man, and hopefully we can do this all again.
100%, 100%. I enjoyed it. Honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. It's nice to talk boxing. I love it.
It is. It is, you know, just like I said, 5 lads just chatting shit about boxing. Like, what's better than that? Other than maybe 5 lads chatting shit about football, which is, you know, even better, maybe.
When are you doing your football? I need to come on for the football one. When's that happening?
Yeah, I'll get you on. You said you're a Liverpool fan, yeah?
Big Liverpool fan. There's a difference.
What are you doing Sunday?
My live watch along.
After the game.
Well, it depends, innit? If we win, I'm there. If we lose, I'm not answering the phone.
I'll tell you what, I'll speak to you on Sunday. Maybe you can come on our football podcast on Sunday. Yeah,
that'd be nice, man. Talk some football. We're good.
All right then, man. Guys, take it easy. Ade, thanks for coming on. Follow us on Ringside Fracas. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and also 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple, please. Thank you very much, and we'll be back next week.
Peace.
Peace.